I'm Kiara Winsky. I've spent the past 2 years in healthcare classes. I'd like to share how to take a person's vitals in case an emergency may occur or you may need to give information to a paramedic or a doctor. I will also be showing CPR. There are 5 main vital signs in which a nurse will perform when first walking into a room with a patient. The first is a pulse. Taking a pulse manually is very simple. The only thing you need is a hand. The next thing you need is to find the pulse. There are 2 main pulses that someone will be taking, which is underneath the jaw and on the wrist. I will be showing the wrist. Take 2 fingers and hold them out and then place them directly below the index finger on the wrist. You should find a pulse there. If you don't find it, move your fingers around until you do. Count the beats for 30 seconds. Beats, and then you multiply by 2 to make it a minute, which is 60 beats. A normal heart rate is 60 to 100 beats per minute. Next is respiratory rate. To take a respiratory rate, you simply count how many times a chest rises and falls. Make sure you're taking it while doing a heart rate so they don't start breathing differently. And don't tell your patient what you're doing, because they will start breathing differently. So you pretend you're taking a pulse and count how many times the chest rises and falls for 30 seconds. Then you multiply by 2 to make it a minute, which is 16 beats for your respiratory rate. The next is blood pressure. For blood pressure, you will need a blood pressure cuff and a stethoscope. Place the blood pressure cuff over your brachial artery, which is located on the inside of your arm above your elbow. Next, put in the stethoscope underneath the blood pressure cuff. Pump up the cuff to 160. Slowly release the air until you hear the first beat and see it on the dial. Then release the air entirely. Her blood pressure was 110 over 58. A normal blood pressure is 120 over 70 to 80. The next is a temperature. Take your thermometer and turn it on. Start from the top of your forehead and swipe down to the temple and behind the ear. Her temperature is 98.3. A normal temperature is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit to 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. The last is your oxygen saturation. Take the pulse oximeter and turn it on and place it on the finger. Then you wait for the results. A normal pulse ox is 90 to 100%. This is 99. CPR is the most useful skill to know during an emergency. Make sure the person needing CPR actually needs it.
Are you okay?
If they have a steady pulse, they don't need CPR. To perform CPR, hold out one hand with your fingers spread apart. Next, place your other hand over and interlock those fingers. Place on the patient's chest and press hard enough to go down 2 inches. Stay at a consistent beat. Don't speed up, don't slow down. And that's how you perform CPR. Some of the 5 vital signs in which a nurse would perform in a hospital aren't necessarily what someone would usually be able to do. Some materials aren't accessible to everyone. Imagine a medical emergency happening right in front of you and there's no doctors around. Yell out so people know you're not a doctor, but you know how to take vital signs. Now think if you didn't know. One person can make a difference in so many lives, even if it seems like it's not a big deal. With this information, you can save lives even without having the correct certification.